KOSP, Brookline, Springfield, 102.1 The One, broadcasting from the Cox Roofing Studios.
Cox Roofing, we got you covered.
KOSP, Brookline, Springfield. It's time for the starting lineup with Scott Purdy, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One. Always the sure bet.
And we welcome you back to the starting lineup. Great to have you with us on this May Hump Day, and it will be a very big one. Starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports in the Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield, by Swing Right Golf at the south end of Campbell Avenue, just a little bit north of Nixa, by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, which is located in two routes, as they call them, one adjacent to Highland Springs and the other in Rogersville, and by Marshfield Chevrolet, located on the I-44 exit, couple of left turns, and you're right there at Marshfield Chevrolet. I'm Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier
and Art Haynes.
Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning, guys.
We have a special guest on the line, and because you guys covered so much more racing than I did back in the day, I'm going to defer to Ned on the introduction of our special guest.
Now, this is a very special one and a big time, too, a very special event. Now, yesterday, NASCAR announced the results of its Hall of Fame inductions, which will occur in January of 2027. But on the list, and has been on the ballot list for a number of years, is a guy who we here in the Ozarks knew should have been in a long time ago and finally gets the nod. Well, of course, you have Kevin Harvick, who is going in, I should say, and Jeff Burton. But wait a minute. Where is Larry Phillips, and why hasn't he been in there? I mean, this is the guy who owned all of racing in the Ozarks in 60s, 70s, 80s, into the early 90s. And indeed should have been recognized. A 5-time weekly national champion, which is an award that kind of flies under the radar by NASCAR. And indeed, he was able to achieve it, a national championship 5 times. Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome LP's son, Terry Phillips. This is our Legend Series, and Terry, in and of himself in his own right, falls into that category. And Terry, first of all, congratulations to you and the family, and this has to be a very big thrill for the Phillips family.
You went through all that introduction, and we lost him. Literally 5 seconds before he was on to come on there. The screen went dark. We're waiting for him to come back here. We'll see when we can
Doesn't that always happen?
If you do that introduction again, we're going to be at the end of the show. So we need to.
Now look who's talking.
Yeah, but yeah. Art, while we're waiting to get Terry back on here, your thoughts on Larry's career and Terry's career.
Well, Larry was just the man for so many years. I mean, it was an expectation that he was going to win. And there was a certain element that wanted to go see him lose, but they were disappointed most of the time. He was just such a fierce competitor and just loomed large over the sport beyond this area, really. I mean, he never did go national as far as NASCAR. Probably could have. You know, he was that talented of a racer, but he was just so dominant.
Art, I'm going to a slight correction too. He did race in one NASCAR, and I think it was in Ontario, California, if I'm not mistaken, and finished. He was among the few short-track drivers in the competition, but he did finish in 13th, and he was the top short-track driver in that particular race. But that was it. I asked him once why he didn't go into the NASCAR circuit, and he said, hey, I'm perfectly happy right here. I run these races. I'm in tune to what the short tracks call for. I like dirt and the shorter asphalt tracks. So, no, why get into that really high pressure level? Now, there were many other drivers in this area who did go. You know, Mark Martin was up here, and Rusty Wallace had campaigned at the Fairgrounds Speedway on a number of occasions, and the others, Bobby, a name that's a little bit under the radar, Bobby Wawack, who was there. Here's Terry back in.
I think we have you back now, Terry. Sorry about that. Must have had an internet blip there or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I was listening to you, and then it just went off. So.
Well, I mean, you were basking in the glory of that introduction, and all of a sudden we're ready to go to you, and you're gone. So we thought you got overcome with emotion and had to check out there for a second. Yeah, but hey, welcome back.
It's called technology. I'm a little I'm not real good at it. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm going to text you a number. If it happens again, you can just call us, and we'll do the traditional phone segment. But what was your reaction to the news yesterday?
Well, I was surprised because, I get caught up in my own world here. We're busy and going wide open. I run the business, and somebody had told me the NASCAR thing was coming up, and to be honest with you, oh my God,
that's not Art's dog either. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a professional. My wife told me this was going to happen, but anyway, I was sitting there, and then actually Brennan Willard from Lebanon, there, the Willard family, sent me a link, and I just texted him, "Is this real?" Because you hear, and we've been told that he was in and out, through the years, and then all of a sudden, about 50 phone calls came in the next 30 minutes, and texts and stuff. So I knew it was for real, and it's pretty exciting, And then Rusty Wallace called me, and I haven't talked to him since I was a kid. So I thought something was going on,
Terry, when you were growing up, about where in your life did your dad's profession make an impact on you?
I went to Pipkin Junior High, and I started walking from there, going to work on Commercial Street, working on race cars. So pretty young age. And from there to Central, to walking over there till I got my driver's license. So I went on the weekend, Rusty called yesterday. He goes, one time I went with him to Yakima, Washington, and up in Canada. And I'm like, hang on, Rusty. I said, we haven't talked in years, but I was with you. It was just me and him. He was like 21. I think I was 11.
Oh,
so I've been doing this for a little while, and I guess the impact was very young.
Arthur?
Terry, I always remember Larry's famous quote about that he hated losing more than he loved winning. And it was just an expectation that he was going to win. What was it about him that made him such a fierce competitor?
I don't know. Man, he just always had that drive to succeed, I guess. Nothing going to stop him. What we call today, like, I'm the old man in racing now, and I was just a kid. I tell these kids now that I used to be the kid, and they don't believe me, But but his drive back then, it was just self, just like let's say any champion, Dale Earnhardt. They have that self drive that I think they were born with, or something. It's just he was all about racing, and that was it. Period. And not necessarily racing, but winning. It just high expectations.
You continue to race on a regular basis. We talked to Trenton Berry. You were down in West Plains over the weekend. I noticed on your website that's one of your favorite places to race, I believe, is that Speedway. How do you approach a schedule now? Is there any slowing down? I guess there is never any slowing down in auto racing, pun intended. But how do you decide where you're going and how often you're going these days?
Well, I've been running the USMTS Modified Tour mainly the last few years. I started doing that. I quit running late models, I don't know, 5 years ago, and then decided to run the modified deal because, there for a while, their late model racing around here was really kind of slowing down, and this modified was really starting to peak, and I build modified chassis here at our shop and sell parts and all that, and then just needed to really focus on that more because of the business end of it. And plus the purses were better and the paybacks were better, and it was, half the price to race, let's say. And got on board with that. And then of lately, a fella named Sean Mann in Arkansas decided that I needed a late model and bought me a late model, So I run it every once. We call it the vacation racing, but it used to be the other way around. But when I'm off on off the modified tour, I'll run this late model some and have a little fun.
Well, I mean, you turn 60 next month, and you race against kids that are maybe in their 20s. Talk about that aspect of it and the respect factor for an old guy like you, so to speak, and these kids. Is it there? Do you think they understand the legend of the Phillips family?
No. I mean, is that simple enough?
It is.
We talk about it all the time. No, some of the 30-somethings and 40-somethings do a little bit, but I tell a story. I still get people come up to me and, hey, TP, everybody calls me TP. Said, I heard your dad used to race. Was he any good?
Oh, no.
I kind of laugh. I kind of giggle, and I say, he wasn't bad. You ought to look him up. I have to tell them all to look it up, And I was look it up, and then I come to the shop, and the old guys hang around. They introduce. They go, this is Terry. This is Larry's son. He races too. So that's what I get.
Last time he was up here, Mark Martin and I got into a conversation with him, and Mark had worked for your dad when he was competing against him on the weekends. I thought this is really strange. Did you ever make the acquaintance of Mark Martin while you were with the shop?
Oh, yeah. Mark, he came to, we had the Larry Phillips Memorial at Monette, and he came and kind of took over the show for us. He got out there. I remember Mark. I mean, Mark was young. He graduated high school and came to the shop.
Yep.
Of course, there's a lot of kids come along with that wanted to go to work, and help at the shop. But right after work, it was a big race to the go-kart track, and they brought me along. I was the only one who beat him because I was lighting up as a little kid to outrun him, So, I've known Mark for a long time, and I think his dad sent him to my dad to go to boot camp, so to speak, to learn about racing and how to work on them and do it right,
Arthur?
Terry, we had a fun conversation in your carrier up at Lucas Oil a few years ago when Trenton brought me up there. I mean, you've got some great stories. There was one. Tell the one about you were in North Dakota or someplace, and they kind of you thought they did you wrong, and how that worked out.
North Dakota. Now this happened. This happens so much. You gotta give me more information.
It has to do with the lake there at the end of the race.
That strike a familiar note, Jerry.
No, it's something to do with what at the end of the race?
A lake.
Oh, yeah. Driving a car into the lake.
That's not ringing a bell.
That's probably one of these 7 million stories he's got. He's got to go back in the archive there to pick each one out. I wanted to ask you, and of course your father passed way too soon in 2004. How long do you think he would have kept racing? Good health, willing, and did you two race against each other much or at all?
Yeah, he would have, to answer your question, he would probably race a lot longer. Yeah, he told me when he quit when he didn't feel that he could win anymore, and then he came. Of course, I was gone and on the road, and he came back and he said, "I'm done." I go, "Excuse me?" I knew he's fighting the cancer, but I thought, he's Superman. You don't see him going down, but he goes, shoot, I lost my breath this weekend, and they had to get an ambulance waiting, and I had to pull off. He goes, I got in the lead, and I thought, man, I hope this race is about over. And he said, I looked up, and it was like 6 laps in. He goes, I was in trouble. Had to pull off, and he was done. It was just a deal when he felt he couldn't win or anymore. He was done, and then it was just health related. His mind and all that was plenty fine, but and ability for sure, but you got to be able to breathe in them cars, and he was struggling with it. But he was 62 when he died. Mm-hmm. I thought he was an old man. Now I'm pushing 60. He was a pretty young guy,
He's a kid.
Yeah. Did you guys get on the track against each other?
Yeah, a little bit. We had a hiatus from each other back 38 years ago when I met my wife and started a family. So I was racing dirt and he was racing the asphalt. And then he got a dirt car, and then we started seeing each other. We wasn't racing out of the same shop, but we started racing against each other, and I kind of like put it on him, and then he started talking to me, and he got a car like I had, at the time, and I'd become, and like I said, we didn't speak for a couple of years, and I'd look up, and he was saving me a spot, so he was, he wanted me to help him. Let's put it that way, because he wasn't racing dirt so much, but yeah, like Fort Smith, one of the times I remember, we're both front row, and I'm a little bit nervous because he's a little intimidating, and like I said, we hadn't been getting along, hadn't spoken in a while, and he run into my wheels 2 times before we took the green. We hadn't even started the race yet, but. But if I tell these kids, I said, my dad used to wreck me and make me fix both of them, so you've got to toughen up a little bit, but we didn't race against each other a whole lot. But when he thought that I was good enough to go on the road, he goes, there's no sense in us going to the same place. He was getting all the money.
Yeah.
So, there's no use racing against each other, so.
Sure.
Terry, it may not have impacted you so much as being his son, but your dad had a very subtle sense of humor. And I'll not forget Missouri Sports Hall of Fame when we inducted him, and I think it was, maybe 1999 or 2000, somewhere around there. Got up there and he said, well, hell, I got this phone call that said I was being inducted. I thought I was being indicted into prison.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, he did. He didn't have a big old, funny bone, let's say, but every once in a while, I guess that makes it funnier when somebody's not a comedian, as he called me. It makes it funnier. But yeah, I remember him saying that.
Arthur?
Terry, do you still have that competitive fire? I guess you do, or you're still racing.
Oh yes. I don't know how that works like that. I do. It's just. It's a lot of it's, I guess what I call routine. It's all I've ever done. What am I going to do? But it's kind of that saying that we was talking about. I kind of got that. I do have it. It's, winning is not everything, but losing sucks kind of thing, and like I won a couple of races over the weekend, and we're pretty happy. I have my grandson. He's 3 months, my youngest grandson. He's 3 months, and I had him held up over the car like these kids that put their kids up on the car. I said, give me that grandbaby. I held that grandbaby up there, but it's just a little bit different deal. But then we just move on. It's just kind of an expected thing. So, but I love working on them. It's way harder. It's more of a using computers, so I have to hire kids that know how to work a computer, so I can once they get it all going, then I can read it, that kind of thing. But it's a different world. But I still have the drive to race and to win.
Terry, before we let you go, and again, we appreciate your time, what would be your commentary on the state of auto racing today and NASCAR, and is it getting back to its peak level of popularity? Kind of give us your lay of the land with the racing scene.
Well, to be honest, I don't get to watch a lot of NASCAR stuff, but me and the wife was talking yesterday. I don't know why. I have been watching a lot more of lately. Now, I don't know if that's marketing or if I happen to be home, but something about I got where I didn't watch it for a long time. But it's still as Kenny Wallace and I was talking about yesterday, it's still the biggest racing in America and on TV, the most popular and all that, no matter if it's went down a little or up or whatever. But, I don't have a big opinion on it. I'm not just super big NASCAR guy. I know Tyler Reddick, so I watch it. I think that's it. And I know Kyle Larson. I race against him a little bit. So, I don't know him, but, I've raced against, but I know Tyler and a few of those guys. So I watched them, and then I'm like a regular fan. You get to picking some of your favorites. So I watch it some. I don't know. It's doing well. I just think that they're pretty upset because the cars are so the same, and they're low horsepower, and they can't get away from each other. And I know as a driver, that's very irritating. When you have power to get away from somebody, that's personally it may not be good for the fans just to run off with a show, but that's the best for a racer. That's the best race there is when you're out by yourself, going in a way. But they've got them so packed up together, it's hard not to wreck. It's and it's frustrating for a driver.
Is there anybody in your family who has taken a racing tact?
No.
The dog has, apparently.
Well, yeah, he's almost won. He's 75 pounds, and he talks to me. As far as in the racing, I've got a grandson and lives in Arkansas. His dad races too. Kyle Beard is his dad, and he's starting to go, and he's 12, and he's interested. I got him a go-kart out here at the shop, and this guy found it for me, and it's got a pretty good motor, and he's never drove anything like that, and he's wanting one. He likes to go to Branson, and all that, and ride those, and my granddaughter. And I had explained to him, these things, you've got to hit the brakes. They don't, when you let off the gas, of course, he knows it all. He's 12. And I said, you can't just let off the gas, and then stop. And I got it, Poppy. They call me Poppy. He goes in the backyard, and this guy that is a go-kart racer that found this go-kart for me, he takes off through the yard. Drives it up by the tree and backs it sideways and up and comes back down, and I'm just staring at him. And I see this guy out of the corner of my eye staring at me, and I look over at him, and he goes, dude, he's got it. I turned back around. I'm like, I know, and I had a tear running down my eye, So we got to get him in something. He wasn't scared of it. Let's put it that way. He's got some genetics on his side. His dad's a pretty damn good racer too. So it's hopefully he get it. And then my newest grandson, he's 3 months. We'll see, but his mom thinks and his dad's into motorcycle racing and all that. So we got a little bit of it in our blood, but it's going to be a little while.
All right. Well, Terry, again, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the great honor for your father, and appreciate you participating in our Ozarks Legends series. And let's catch up again soon, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Terry.
A legend in his own right. It's Terry Phillips. His dad, Larry Phillips, goes into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in January of 2027. We'll take a time out on the starting lineup and be right back.
You're listening to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One.
Great to have you with us on the starting lineup, and welcome back, Ned Reynolds, along with
Scott Purrier
and Art Haynes.
Arthur, that was a great interview, and again, you guys a lot more hands-on with the Phillips family there. I just didn't, Linda was our auto racing guy at the paper, and I'd read his stuff. And by the way, Linda, great stuff on the Springfield Citizen regarding Larry going in and stuff, and a nice tribute there. But great to have Terry on, and our thanks to T-Bear for helping us set that up as well.
It's you have to understand the impact that he had, and unless you were here, you wouldn't, or a racing fan, you wouldn't realize how strong a personality he was in regards to winning. Now, when you met him, you say, this guy's a champion racer, because he's kind of laid back a little bit. But by the same token, he was, Art was telling Scott earlier, I was the track announcer at the fairgrounds in the mid-1970s, and it was not at all uncommon for Larry Phillips, and I'm not exaggerating this, you always start in the back of the pack because he'd won everything in sight. It's always way back. And by the time the first half lap had been completed, he was challenging for the top spot. That's how good a driver and determined a driver he was.
And our thanks to Terry for his time. And, again, we do Ozarks Legends each Wednesday. We try to find somebody to talk the old days, the good old days of sports with, and he was certainly fitting that bill there. Art, going to talk with John Neighbors here at the bottom of the hour, a little Arkansas update on their baseball with the SEC tournament. We'll find out why they think they're going to maybe host a regional. News yesterday for the baseball Bears, who open CUSA tournament tomorrow. The All-Conference USA team's out, and Curry Sutherland and Logan Fife, the only two Bears to make first team. Jacksonville State had 9 selections between first and second team. Who was the other one? Dallas Baptist with 5, Liberty with 5, Middle Tennessee with 3, the Bears with 2. Your thoughts on that? Maybe a chip on the shoulder going into this thing?
Yeah, and, the third-place team by 1 game. So, they had so many players that were deserving, no pitchers, but position players just up and down the lineup.
Well, I was surprised Tag Gollard was not on there.
Sermonelli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and Joey seems like the kind of guy that he's probably going to mention that maybe, or maybe doesn't have to. But, he looks for those edges, and I think that's a pretty good edge going in.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, again.
The kids on the block, and, they've been picked low in every sport and every poll. So, I guess have to earn the respect.
Yeah, the offensive struggles continue for your Royals.
It's pitiful. Yeah, just pitiful, really. They've scored 1 run last night and the night before, and just complete lack of getting people from third to home. They can get them on base, just can't get them in.
Do you think this, over the course of a Major League season, guys are who they are, and the numbers tend to equal out? Is there a surge coming, you think, or is this maybe a season-long problem from what you can see?
Well, they had a surge here about 3 weeks ago in which they won 9 out of 11. So, there'll be another surge, but unfortunately, and now they've got Bubich on the IL. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
So they got 2/5 of the rotation on the IL. They still cobbled together enough that they only gave up 3 runs last night, but the pitching isn't the problem.
Art, when you take a look at your team, what is it, and obviously you mentioned the lack of offense and so forth, but is there one person that impacts you either positively or negatively in 2026?
Well, Vinny is really badly underachieving. He's 32 home runs last year. He's the guy in the middle of your lineup, and they dropped him to 7th last night against a left-hander. But, Caglione, I think, is coming. They let him play against a left-hander. They need to let him play every day and just not mess with him. But I think Vinny and to a degree Sal have been disappointing with their offense.
And I think Michael Garcia, with his steady improvement, I thought his numbers might take another upturn this year too. More power. He doesn't run as much as he used to a couple of years ago. Kind of waiting for that to happen too.
Yeah, he's batting about 30 points lower than he should based on his recent history. So I'm not really worried about him, but some of the others I am. You got him, you got Bobby, you got Isbell. Those are the guys that are really productive offensively.
I'll tell you a really significant mark in how inconsistent the Royals are is Sunday when they loaded the bases with nobody out in the ninth inning against the Cardinals, and Mikhail Garcia was the batter, and what did he do? Hit into a double play.
Yeah, that is typifying of their season so far.
Well, let's go to break, and we're going to talk some hog sports with John Neighbors on the other side.
This is the starting lineup. Back in a second.
You're listening to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One. Back to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on your home for the St. Louis Cardinals, 102.1 The One.
Great having you with us on the starting lineup as we approach our stretch run. Starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports, Swing Right Golf, Marshfield Chevrolet, and Citizens Bank of Rogersville. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And Art Haynes.
And special guest on the line. He hosts the Monday show from noon to 1 on this station, Inside Arkansas. Talks all things Razorbacks athletics, and we're very pleased to welcome back John Neighbors. John, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are we?
We're doing great. Lots to talk about in Hogland, and, of course, baseball is at it, taking on Tennessee to open up the SEC tournament in Hoover. We've talked about on this show, and the social media presence and fan sites and all that think the Hogs win a game or two. They're right back hosting a regional there at Baum Walker Stadium. What say you?
Well, it's one of those complicated things where I think that they're hosting. Like, I think they're going to be a team that hosts because I believe that the NCAA and the committees and everything want there to be postseason baseball at Baum Walker Stadium. There's very few places that have that benefit, but a lot of them are in the SEC and elsewhere. But to me, I just feel like if it's a 50-50 shot, if it's a could go either way situation, I think that the NCAA would give that benefit to Arkansas. And it also depends on who else is in the mix. You know, if it's another SEC school, if it's another big-time place that could bring in a lot of money and have a great showing out from fans, then, of course, that may complicate it. But and I don't want to hate on this program. I'm just using one as an example. But if it was between Arkansas and Coastal Carolina, it's like Coastal Carolina is a good program, but the money will go more towards Arkansas. So I think that the host, I really do. And I really hope they do because I don't want to be shipped out to Oregon again or some stupid thing like that. So I'm just trying to remain hopeful. But I think that to solidify that, if they just won a couple games in the SEC tournament, not saying that would make the difference, but it would at least make people feel a little bit better about their chances.
The facility at the University of Georgia, would they be in the mix for hosting?
The facility in the I think so because they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're like one of the best teams, not the best teams in the country. So yeah, they are the favorite right now. I think between them and UCLA to win the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, John, does Arkansas deserve a host role based on their performance?
You know, it's funny because Arkansas has won their last 4 SEC series to end the season. And it's such a strange thing that Arkansas goes 17-13 in SEC play, which is not like the greatest thing ever, but it's still really good comparatively speaking. And Razorback fans are like, this season isn't any good just because of the expectation and the foundation that's been laid where this is the first year since 2017 that Arkansas did not win 18 or more SEC games. This is the first year that this is the first year that they have gone through, you mentioned the RPI, that they've gone through the season and didn't have a top 10 or top 15 RPI to finish the regular season. Like, there's just a lot of firsts, but yet, if you just kind of step back from it all, you're like, this was a pretty good season, though, all things considered. I mean, again, they won 17 SEC games. They've had a lot of great moments. I mean, they had walk-off games. They had clutch games late. I mean, even their game against Kentucky, the last one we saw where they scored 10 runs in the first inning, then blew that lead to where it got tied at 12 late in the game, but then Arkansas came up with the timely hits at the end to win it. So they've been all over the place, but the truth of the matter is just it's a very odd season to where it's not that they're bad. It's just nobody really trusts them because they've been very inconsistent in a lot of different ways. If they went 0-2 in a regional, wouldn't surprise me. If they went to Omaha, it wouldn't surprise me. They're that type of team this year.
Well, and had the usual 2 matchups with Missouri State. Had the classic game here on March 31st, the 15-14 Bears win in 10 innings. And then Arkansas got the revenge back 12-4 down in Fayetteville on April 21st. What has changed with that Arkansas team in the last month since then? Has their pitching improved? Has their offense heated up? Kind of give us the lay of the land for the Razorbacks since then.
Well, it's been the pitching in one way, but not in the other way. Like Hunter Dietz is an incredible pitcher. I mean, he is, to me, the best, if not one of the best starters in the SEC. The guy has thrown more strikeouts than any other pitcher in the SEC, and it's just been really solid and been able to count on him. Gabe Gackle's the other starter that, he's really good too. He's not to that level because if he gets rattled a little bit, he has struggled. But overall, it's still been really great to see him. But besides that, the pitching has been really bad. I mean, it's just been, once you get into that bullpen, once you get down into those third-day guys, it's all over the place. I mean, I just mentioned it. When Arkansas had a 10-0 lead in the first inning, and they blew that lead and had it get tied at 12. That's because of the pitching of that day 3 against Kentucky. So it's not been great. But what it has been is that the hitting has definitely elevated itself. It's not like elite level, but it's gotten a lot more consistent. You've seen guys step up like Kahio Aloy. You've seen Zach Stewart, somebody like that has been able to start finding his swing a little bit. It's about getting runners in scoring position and doing something with them, which has been awesome because that's been something Arkansas has usually struggled with. So it's not necessarily just one thing that's been the difference. It's just the little adjustments here and there that have truly made this team feel like they're at least better suited for postseason than what they were a month ago. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but they're better suited for it right now.
John, let me change sports here real quickly. On your show on Monday, you were rather adamant in your criticism of the university, dropping tennis and then bringing it back in a very short time when the donors came forth. Your charge is, where were those donors in the first place? Elaborate on that, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, when the University of Arkansas canceled the tennis program, they didn't ask anybody or tell anybody about it. They just did it. This did not talk to donors, did not talk to boosters, did not talk to board of trustees, did not talk to anybody, just did it because they were trying so desperately to save $2.5 million. That's essentially what it was costing per year for the men's and women's tennis program to be there. Now, everyone's like, well, if it's costing that much money, you got to cancel it. Well, almost every program at the University of Arkansas and every school cost a lot of money. And of the schools that were, or the sports that were costing the most amount of money, tennis was the lowest. But they canceled it. They didn't talk to anybody. Well, this is exactly what I predicted on it, is because I know Razorback fans. If you need help or if there's something that's desperate or whatever, people are going to step up. People are going to step in and help. And as soon as that happened, it infuriated so many former tennis coaches, former tennis players, the tennis community at large, just general Razorback fans, that they did that without talking to anybody, that they pulled together. And within about 3 weeks, this collective group raised over $6 million to save the program. And they got in a meeting with Juracek and basically convinced him to bring the program back. Now, I'm thankful that he made that decision to bring it back, because he could have just kept it canceled and not even thought anything twice about it. But it's the worst thing ever in the fact that you didn't even try to save it. You didn't try to talk to anybody. You didn't try. I understand we're all trying to save money. Like, schools, they got a lot of money, but if you just would have asked, or at least went to, because these former coaches and players are very involved in the program. If you just would have said, hey, we're in a dire situation here. There's a possibility that we may have to cancel tennis to try to save money here unless we can get it fully funded. Is there a way you can help out? Is there a way you can talk to some people? Let's do it that way. And guess what would have happened? Exactly what did happen. They raised the money and they saved the program. But now it's just a PR nightmare, and it's an embarrassing look because it makes you look incompetent. It makes you look like you, because they said in their statement when they canceled it, we've done all this research and everything. It was like the research, AKA not talking to donors, not talking to people, not trying to save it. Like, that to me was what was the most infuriating, because as I use the example, I want to lose weight this summer. Now, I can do it through eating and dieting and eating correctly and dieting and exercising and all that, or I can cut my arm off. Both it's going to lose weight, but I think one way is better than the other. And that's what essentially happened. You need to save money. We get it, but you don't need to cut your arm off. You can do it this other way that's a lot better and a lot healthier for the program. And it was just a disaster.
Wow. Okay, John, getting back to baseball, and you're saying you think the potential revenue from an Arkansas regional might swing the balance in their favor, and the NCAA makes such a big deal about being a meritocracy. You telling me that's not necessarily true?
Well, I'm just telling you right now, they see certain places, especially in a game like college baseball, which we love college baseball here. I know y'all love college baseball. Like, college baseball is a big deal, but to the grand scheme of things, it is not. It's not near to football or to basketball. So the NCAA looks at it as that's not a revenue-generating sport in most cases, so we'll take whatever money we can get, and we'll take the most money we can ever get when it comes to these events. And they see Baum-Walker Stadium, it's a stadium that seats 12,000 people, or if they see this other school that's on the edge of it too that seats 2,000 people, and not a lot of people come there, it's not well supported. Nope, we're going to go with the place that's going to pack the house, that's going to have sold-out tickets, that's going to do all those things. That's where we want to go. I think it's the right move, honestly. And nothing against other places. They may be deserving, but Baum-Walker, certain stadiums like that in the SEC, they need postseason play because it's always going to be well ran, it's always going to be well organized, and there's always going to be a bunch of baseball fans that show up to it.
John, talk about the level of excitement for Arkansas basketball going into next winter now with what Coach Cal has done recruiting for 4 or 5 stars. He brings in a big Furman transfer. He gets the number 1 player at Georgia. Has it ever been an off season like this in terms of expectation going in this new age where transfer portal and NIL is king?
It's funny because if you would have asked me that question 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have said, hey, no, this is the high expectation. This is what's going on. This is what everyone's feeling, and it's going to be awesome, because it's a higher expectation. Now, I'm kind of concerned. I'm going to be honest, because a lot of this hinged on the decisions of Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond, who are currently in the NBA draft combine, who left it open for them to return to university. I think Billy Richmond comes back. And again, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I felt really good about Malik Thomas coming back. I don't as much anymore, which is a huge thing because if he would have come back, he would have been the best player on the team, no doubt, especially offensively. So if you lose him, and the other thing too, they don't have a big man. This was something that they didn't have last year, truly. I thought they hoped for Nick Pringle and Malik Ewan to be those guys. They don't have one. And that to me might be the biggest indictment of what's been going on. Like, I love what they've done in the backcourt. They've done some great things there. But you knew during the entire season you were going to need a big man because you knew both those guys were not going to be back next year. You knew you needed one. You knew you needed to get into the portal and get a big man. You have no big man. It's been over a month. And I'm sorry, you can have the greatest backcourt ever, but if you have nobody to rebound, if you have nobody to be down low, you're going to get cooked by a lot of these teams, especially those teams that are at the high level. So I'm a little bit perturbed by that and the fact that they weren't able to get any of those guys. Maybe they still can because I know that there's still some very desperate options out there. But it's just, it went great and it's been fine. And I know that there's still some decisions to be made, but just where it stands right now, it's a little bit worrisome of how you should have been able to build upon what you had this past year. And now it just seems like you're having to wait for scraps a little bit. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I'm just looking at it through a reality of if you're John Calipari in Arkansas, you shouldn't have to wait on anything. You shouldn't have to be desperate for anything. You should just get these big-time players, and you just haven't had a chance to do it.
In regards to the approaching football season, any level of excitement, season ticket sales, and so forth and so on?
Are they buying in at all in Silverfield?
It's a complicated question because I think that there is the basic excitement that any program would have when it's a new coach. Like, there's the basic excitement, but there's not the normal level of excitement of new coach, new era, like there was with Sam Pittman, like there was even with the Chad Morris, even with the Brett Bielema, which I know that those are coaches that may not have worked out. I'm saying the initial hiring, the initial newness of it, there was a buzz. There's not that much here as there was for those. And I don't think that's Silverfield's fault because I think Silverfield's done a lot of great things. I think it's more of just the athletic department and the administration not doing anything to try to create that excitement and buzz. So because of that, it could end up being okay. And by the time we get to fall, it could really ramp up. But where it stands right now, there's just, you don't have a quarterback that is getting people excited. You don't have any particular stars that just get people excited. There's not a particular coach that assistant coach or anything that is just getting people buzzing. Like, you just don't really have those things. And because of that, that's where it stands. So it'll be fine, but all you got to do is win. And I know that's cliche to say, but Arkansas fans are just tired of waiting. They're tired of being told things and everything's going to be okay, and it's not. They just want to be able to start being proud of their program again, and there's been nothing to be proud of with the Razorback football program in a decade.
Well, John, we know you got to run before we let you go. Do you think there's a faction of that Arkansas fan base that maybe hopes the Silverfield thing doesn't work out because they can pin it on Hunter Yurachek and maybe get one more feather in the cap of trying to get him out of there?
I mean, I think that a lot of fans who really want Yurachek gone, they feel so helpless because they're like, he must be a mud monster because you just throw mud at him and it doesn't matter. Like, this tennis fiasco that we just talked about, how in the world is that just, hey, I know it's whatever. This is the same guy that said we can't win a national championship in football. And then it's like, okay, so how do we? No answer. He doesn't communicate with the fan base. He doesn't do anything. So it's like, okay, so what else is it going to take? What else is it going to do to get this guy out? So I don't even think even that would matter because it just, again, he like went and said yesterday and he revealed to people down there in Texas at the road show, he's like, we have a thing that we're signing with the naming rights for the stadium, which is another thing because the naming rights have been vacant at Razorback Stadium for over 2 years now, mind you. But he says he finally got one, and he's not revealing it, but he says it's going to be a $500 million in the biggest naming rights contract in all of college football. I'm like, sure, let's see it when it actually happens because this is just nonsense, and it's just, I don't know what it's going to take because if he hasn't gotten the axe yet for all the stuff he's done, I don't know what it's going to take for at any point in time for it to change. Very good. John, we appreciate your time as always. We love the Monday show at noon. And Arkansas fans, if you want a full hour of that, tune in each Monday because John brings the goods. So thanks again. Hey, appreciate it, guys. Anytime. Thank you. Take care.
John Neighbors visiting with us from down Arkansas. Timeout on the starting lineup. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the starting lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One.
And we are in the stretch run of the starting lineup, and the St. Louis Cardinals, who Mike just mentioned, will indeed be right here at 102.1 tonight when they play the Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 2 of their series. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier
and Art Haynes.
Art, your thoughts on John's topics there, especially the baseball and Arkansas possibly hosting a regional?
Makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still of the naive belief that teams that, through their play on the field, earn a regional should host a regional if they've got an adequate facility, and that the potential revenue from the regional should not be a factor, but it should be the merit of what the teams do. Now, that's naive, I know, but it's a committee of ADs and former coaches that make the selections. And now an NCAA representative that's in that room might put his or her thumb on the scales and say, hey, we can make money at Arkansas. But I don't think that would fly with former coaches.
You know, he talks about how this Arkansas team doesn't seem to be as potent as they – and they're not. I mean, the pitching's not anywhere the way it was. They don't have the star power. If you think they've slipped, how would you like to be LSU? Go from the defending national champion to the 14 seed out of 16 in the SEC tournament. Ooh. Yeah. They went 9-21 in league play this year, LSU did.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm sure their fan base is not happy.
Yeah. Well, and of course they're probably drunk on Lane Kiffin stuff right now, and Will Wade now signing professional players. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, they signed a guy that actually played in the NBA last year. Was the I think Big East Player of the Year in 25 at St. John's, and the NCAA's already said that's not going to happen.
I thought that had already been taken care of too, that they weren't going to be able to play.
Signs him anyway. So,
all right, gang, we are in the stretch run now, and we're out of time. Great having you with us on our show, and Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier,
Art Haynes,
and indeed a big night coming up with Cardinals baseball and so forth and so on. And we expect to see you tomorrow right here